So I'm going to talk about the problem with sourcing software. And first of all, I want to say that I'm not saying that sourcing software isn't good. I think sourcing software is great. I've used it personally, and I think it's great. However, I'd like to point out a certain limitation, which is that sourcing software only works with a limited set of suppliers. And there's a perfectly good reason for this, which is that they have to connect to each supplier site and Amazon in order to get the product data. Okay, now if this still doesn't really make sense, let's take a look at a couple sourcing software supplier lists. For instance, OA Genius, and then we have Tactical Arbitrage. Now, OA Genius is a great software. I've used it personally, and I've promoted it. And what it does is, if you go to any of these suppliers and you pull up a page of products, it will actually scan those products and find those same products on Amazon, and it will tell you the profitability of those products right away. However, in order to do this, it has to connect to the suppliers, get the product data from that supplier, and it also has to connect to Amazon simultaneously and get that data as well. And this is something that has to be programmed individually per supplier. It's not something that can just be done in a general way. Okay, it's the same thing for Tactical Arbitrage. The only difference is Tactical Arbitrage just has even more suppliers. And of course, it's been around longer than OA Genius. And it just has way more suppliers. But it is the same idea. You still have a limited set of suppliers because it can only connect and get the data from these particular suppliers. And then has to also do the same for Amazon. So now, what I'd like to do is to point out the fact that with as many suppliers as we have here, you're going to find there's suppliers that are even fairly well known that are missing. Let's take a look, for instance, at a very well known brand, which is Nike. Now, if you look for Nike on Amazon, you're going to definitely find Nike products. Let's take a look at OA Genius and see if Nike's on their list. So I'll hit a Control F, type in Nike. I do see some kind of Nike supplier here. I'm not sure what this is exactly. Nike Employee Digital Shop, but that's what shows up. And if I go to Tactical Arbitrage list of suppliers, they definitely have Nike.com on their list. Okay, the actual Nike.com website. However, there are other major sneaker brands or footwear brands, such as Fila. And if I were to do a Control F and type in Fila on Tactical Arbitrage, it's nowhere to be found. Right? So it does not work with Fila. And that's fine. I'm not saying that this makes that there's something wrong with Tactical Arbitrage, but I'm just merely pointing out a limitation of sourcing software, which is that it's not going to work with, it can't work with every supplier. All right. Then we have New Balance. Okay. New Balance is another major footwear that, again, has their own site, newbalance.com. And if I go to Tactical Arbitrage and I look for New Balance, again, this website is nowhere to be found. And if I look up Timberland, it's the same thing. Okay, Timberland's another brand which has its own website, timberland.com. And again, I don't see Timberland either. However, if you go on Amazon, clearly you're going to find New Balance sold right away. Right, it shows up. Okay, New Balance is clearly sold on Amazon, as is Timberland. As you can see, Timberland boots for men, right? Comes up right away. So these brands, which are also suppliers, are sold on Amazon. However, these sites are not, don't work with these sourcing softwares. So this is something that we should keep in mind as we're using sourcing software. And as competition increases on Amazon, we want to be able to use more and more suppliers, obscure suppliers. And of course, we can manually research our suppliers. So I could, for instance, take a product, this random product on Timberland, and I could just randomly Google this product, and I could, research it, try to find it on Amazon. I can do that process manually, but of course, it takes a long time to do that, but that is something that we can do, and we can do the same thing for New Balance. We can go to each sneaker or shoe and manually try to research each product title as well. However, this is typically, again, going to be very time consuming. So my solution to the whole thing is that I use Google Sheets, right? I source products from more obscure suppliers using Google Sheets to automate searches on titles and find matches on Amazon. That's what I do. And so I created a Google Sheet to do that. The supplier Amazon Matcher and Profit Calculator. And this is the most recent version. It's a global version, meaning that it now, unlike the ones I've displayed in previous videos, can work with multiple regions. Now, these are the regions that are preset so far, but it can potentially work with other regions as well. If you let me know, I can add them. Once I expanded it to be able to work with these other regions, adding more regions is not a difficult thing. And once you choose your region, that's the region that it's going to try to find the products on. Okay, that's the site it will try to find products on. Koya UK or Com or Amazon.ca if you're doing Canada, right? But you have to feed it, of course, a supplier that has products that show up on those marketplaces, of course, right? So basically, I do have a video where I demonstrate the whole process of using the system. And the difference with this is that with this system, it's not connecting to any of these suppliers. Okay, it's not connecting to Feli or to New Balance or Timberland or Nike or anything. If I wanted to use this with Feli, for instance, what I would do is I would go to a particular category. I would pull up a bunch of products on the site, and I would use a free Chrome extension to scrape those products. Okay, so this is typically what I would do. And I would then go in, make sure that I'm actually getting the product data from that scrape. And really the main thing I want are the titles and the prices, actually. And the URLs. Okay, so I do see titles. I do see URLs. I should see, and I did see prices in here as well. Once I have those, I know that this is something I can work with. And with this Chrome extension, you can actually scan more than one page. You can always try locate next button. And clicking on that button, you can then go back and use start crawling and see if it's able to then grab more pages, which I can see it is successfully grabbing more pages from this supplier page. So as you can see, the number of rows collected, that's basically the number of products that it's actually pulling the data for. So being that such Chrome extensions exist, and I don't even think this is the only one that can do it, but this is the one that I use, Instant Data Scraper, you really don't have to rely on a sourcing software to get product data. However, the challenge now is to get that data matched onto Amazon, and that is what the Google Sheet will do. Once we bring the data in here, the Google Sheet will automatically search those product titles, do the same sort of search you would do using Google, and it will find possible matches for those Amazon products. Now, what I will do is actually stop this because it can go on for a long time. And I'll just take what I have right now, but I could very well let this go on and scan all 1,000 products. I'm going to stop it at 504 and go ahead and download these products to a CSV. Then I'm going to go over to my Google Sheet and go to what is called the IDS CSV sheet. Now I have data there already, so I'm going to clear that data with the clear instant CSV and file, import, upload, select a file from your device. And I would select the most recent thing that I just downloaded is going to be this Feli file, which I'll go ahead and open up and replace the current sheet, and I'll import the data right in. Okay. And that's really just the beginning process, just to get the data in here. So there are a lot of details on how to actually use the system, and taking data from the supplier, bringing it into the system, which is not hard, but there's some details to that. And so it makes for a lot of content. So I'm going to separate that and put it in another video. So do find a link down below in the description of this video that will take you to another video where I'm actually going to show you the process of how I'm going to take an obscure supplier and search for those products and find them on Amazon and find the profitability of those products. I'm Mr. Mark. If you have comments, questions, or suggestions, you can leave them below, or you can contact me directly. But I greatly encourage you to go ahead and watch the following video so you can see the process of actually using this Google Sheet. And then I look forward to hearing from you or seeing you around on the channel.